Well, it seems as though I was talking to myself that whole time. Okay, so let me go over it again. I'm still learning how to use OBS Studio. So, I've been working on a mod on Factorio to be able to analyze the output data that Factorio produces already for this graph internally. And what I've been able to do is write the total number of each item produced to a file and using a JSON format. I believe I may even be able to bring that up. Nope. this. I can just add a new. Forgive me, I'm still learning how to use OBS Studio. I'm going to add a new source here. Window capture. And add it to Notepad++. And now I can transition. Okay. So this is the output file that the Factorio mod is producing, and you can see it's got production data, inputs, the item name, and the value for each one. I actually copied some of this code from another guy, but I had to reformat and restructure the JSON data itself to be in the same format that Qt's JSON library expected it to be. Qt is a software library, and they also make an IDE for coding in several different languages. I just chose C, C++ because that's what I'm used to. And my Factorio mod script is in Lua or whatever they use, I guess. I had to figure a little bit of that out before I could modify some of the scripts that I found. This one here, input, output counts, it just saves them into a JSON structure. And every second it will acquire the stats. I don't actually process stats here anymore. That was a temporary function I used. And then update the JSON file where it actually saves it to this file. And then I'm going to close and reopen my actual Qt project here. I'm going to rerun it here so we can see it from the beginning. Let's see. Oh, nifty. Alright. Okay. My Qt project. It's not showing the right one though. Instead it's showing the actual Qt project. I'm running it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is how it starts out. I have it creating the graphs at startup instead of at runtime for now. But I've made the functions for creating these graphs pretty modular, so I believe I can add it to these new display and new chart items that I've created here. They don't actually do anything yet. They will, and that when they do, I'm thinking it'll have like a pop-up that asks you which material and whether you want input or output. But for now, I just have it outputting 6 different tab views, each with multiple graphs on them. Right now, these 3 graphs are configured for the inputs. So as I create iron ore, it'll show up here. As I create copper ore, it'll show up here. As I create iron plates and copper plates, they'll show up here. And this is arbitrary. My goal is to have these graphs to be customizable and add, remove easily at some point. For now, it's just stuck these 6 graphs on there, or 3, 6, 9, 12 graphs, I suppose. And then you load the output data, which is from all Factorio mods output if you want to write a file, it outputs to the script output directory. So I create a folder here, and there's my file. By default, the open function will point to the right directory, both in Linux and Windows. Once you open the file, it'll start to graph if your game's running. Otherwise, it'll just be printing zeros at the bottom. If your game is paused, it will not continue updating. Alright, so now the game's paused, so I'm going to unpause the game. Alright, so as soon as I unpause the game, you see the production data start rolling through. I didn't start any research, so I'm going to let it kind of show some flat line. For now, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the game, show you what's happening at the factory. It looks like we got, hold on a second. Need to do some resizing here. Like I said, still getting used to OBS. I maximized my game, so now it's okay. Let me transition. There we go. Now we can see everything. Alright, so you see all my conveyors are full. Not a lot of production happening. Everything's pretty full. This guy's kind of chugging along a little bit. These are full. No research is happening, so now let's look at the stats. Yeah, as you'd expect, look at their averages, they're pretty low. Spiking up a little bit on the science packs occasionally because they're still filling up the conveyor there. And then, so most of that production is based with just producing those science packs. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start. First, I'm just going to take some of these because I need some more ammo. Let's get the steel going again. So, since I wasn't transitioning, I just emptied that chest, and so now this guy is getting busy getting steel plates. In fact, just to speed it up some more, I'm going to go and, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have an extra stack of 100 steel plates, get all these guys moving, so we should see a big spike in production on the ore. Transition back, and as you'd expect, you see the averages start climbing, as well as seeing much more frequent spikes on the immediate production. So this is the immediate difference between 1 second and the next of production. This you say average over 10, so average over 10 seconds, average over 15 seconds. And so you can start to watch those averages, and you can make these averages as long as you want within the settings. At some point that will be added to the new. You'll see, when you go to create a new graph, it'll ask you what material, whether you want input or output, and how much you want to average over. That's a basic analysis tool that seems pretty handy for me whenever I'm looking at the data. And one of the things I know is when you're playing this game, you can, if your average is pretty steady, once you get big, once you're making big factories and you have tons of stuff going on, your averages stay pretty steady until you run out of material. And so you start to see one of these real long-term averages start to go down, you know, you might have a problem, you can throw up an alert. Alright, now I'm going to research the next thing. That way it gets these guys moving. Don't want to slow down just for... Yeah. Alright, transition back. Now we've been looking at the iron this whole time. Iron ore in, out. You can see, one thing we can see here right away is our average production of iron ore is about 1.5. Or, yeah. And then the consumption here is a little bit less than 1.5. It looks like we're right on par with making everything we need. So another thing we can do with analysis in the future with this application is compare the long-term average of one item with from its input to its output, and give you an idea how many more of a given factory that you need to add to your, because a lot of times you'll have buffer chests. When you have these buffer chests, you can increase your consumption beyond what your production can handle for a given time until those buffer chests are empty. And so when you see that go up above this thing's average, then, or when you go up above, when you see this graph go up above the average that's on this graph, then you know that you need to start adding more factories, or in this case mining drills. Now it looks like iron plate production is see how it's flatlined here? What that means is it can't consume any faster. Now that could be because my arms can't move any faster, or it could mean that the factories are at full capacity, they're just moving along, there's no gaps, there's no pauses. But if you see the production flatline, then you know you're at max capacity for production. Like example with the science pack, you can see it's at max production because it's flatline. This iron plate looks like there's still some room to use more iron plates if I needed to. Same thing with this iron ore. Let's look at the copper side now. Okay, so with the copper we see it looks like they're both flatlined. Everything's flatlined. But I don't think that is because of max production based on these conveyor belts here. So what I would guess is it's not producing at all. And the rate that it does produce is so slow that it happens to be periodic because of it. So just because it's flatline doesn't mean it's maxed out. So the main trick is you have to know if the production is flatline, is the consumption the same? If they are equal, then you know that it's just a slow process. It does look like the copper usage has increased though since we started having to produce more. Produce more science packs. You see the science pack production leads the copper plate and copper ore production there. Consumption, I apologize, consumption. And the production as well though. Seeing that fall back off again. Let's see why here. Ah, conveyor's full. Yep, that makes sense. Big spike in production of copper ore. Good thing we have our averages, or we would be sensitive to that. So now we're going to try and make some transport belts and inserters. First I need to make me some more factories. And then what do the transport belts take? Iron plate, iron gear wheels. Looks like we have what we need here. So we'll create another factory right here. Let's see, we don't want the copper. You know what? I'll only do it if the gear wheels are backed up on the conveyor. Or better yet, there we go. We'll create that type of setup. That way we're not taking actually we're going to do this a little different. We're going to make it to where the inputs stay on this side. Okay, now we need factory, some more conveyor belts, a couple more arms, and we're going to make conveyor belts. Alright, this guy needs some power. He's in a bad spot there. Alright, we'll just move this up. Not the prettiest, but it'll work. And we want just one stack to fill up this chest. We only want this guy. We don't have wires yet. These guys will just fight over those gears at some point. Okay, now we have those. Let's make sure we send these conveyors to the right place. Trying to be space efficient. Probably reorganize this 100 times. Okay. Get another arm for this guy over here. Alright, now we need to make these. We need iron plates and iron gear wheels. Okay, we're good with that already. And we also need electronic circuits. Okay, well, let's create another factory for electronic circuits first. And what do they need? Iron plate and copper cables. We need copper cables too. Alright, so copper cables. I don't like the way this is, to be honest. Because I know just from experience that I'm going to need tons of these iron gear wheels. I think I'm going to make this guy further up. Yeah, I think so. So I'm going to eventually want like 6 or more of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. Oops. That's okay. So, let's see. So that means I won't want it to be mixed here. I'll want the just plain copper or iron going straight up. Alright, so that means if I want a mixed iron and gear, I probably should have it somewhere over here. Okay. Oh, look at that. Let's switch back to our little graph here and look at how we're doing. Looks like the copper production has been up and down, and that's because of the science pack's copper production being up and down. It fills up the conveyor belt and it has to wait. And it fills up the conveyor belt and it has to wait. So a longer term average would be useful in this case because of the imbalance. But also this points out the imbalance. So this says, okay, you need more science consumption. So see how the science consumption's flat? So this is telling me I need to build more science consumption. But the reason why I haven't yet is because just knowing Factorio, if you look at the cost here, this is the 30-second research types. There's, well, if I switch to this one, it only has a 5-second research time. The consumption of my science packs goes up dramatically, which I think I'm going to go ahead and research this since I'm behind right now. Now we can watch this guy stay much busier. One thing I don't have is a pure copper section here. I need to I think I'm gonna make it over here. Do copper. I already got it going over here though. You can always change it later, I guess. Okay. I don't need this guy right now. Alright, so I want to copper cable. I need a bunch of copper cables. We usually do. And so those guys are both sharing that. We're gonna create an underground belt system here and a splitter. Didn't give myself a lot of room here. I want it to be after this guy puts him in a chest because I like to have an extra 100 or so for myself. So I think I'll put it right here, and then it's got to come out anyway to turn to go under. So we'll just do that. Hop over here, and there. Now we can load this guy up with make some copper cables. Of course, we need power. I like aligning the power poles to nice grids. Okay, so now we have now we have copper plate cables. Okay. Watch our copper production spike. Whew. That research science pack production or consumption sure spiked. That's for sure. It spiked so much you could tell the it was faster than production. Its average went up to about 1.5, and my production flatlined at 0.7, or not even, like 0.4 or something, which I'm guessing is when the belt ran out. Let's see. Yeah, the belt's empty. So the consumption went down because there's not enough to satisfy both of them. So in a situation like this, I could just switch back, but it's almost done. So we'll let this guy finish. Plus I want the blue. Factories, they're super handy for 3 or 4 parts, I mean. Okay. Also, I'm going to go ahead and make a machine gun, submachine gun, and grab me some more ammunition. Yay! I'm just going to get rid of all this weaponry stuff because, well, my pollution's not too bad. Shouldn't have to worry about any biters yet. Okay, and we'll do this, and then put the rest back. There. Now I have plenty of ammo. Let them guys go back to production. Alright. This guy should slow back down and keep busy. In fact, what am I doing? Okay. All these are 30-second. And there's some 15-second still, but most of them are 30-second stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 more science labs just to keep this guy busy. One thing I like to do is actually, I might wait on that. I'm going to go ahead and keep them. I like to keep the science a little bit slow just so I can think and expand, because I'm not ready to produce green yet. And I only have a few more red only technologies to research. So I'm just going to let it take its time. But I do need, one thing I know is on this game is you use tons of electronic circuits. So I'm going to start a whole row of them just for themselves over here. And they use cables and iron plates, so no, they're going to be up here or something. Since it needs the cables and iron plates, it makes sense to be kind of in this row. And since I don't use a lot of these, I might add another factory for the piercing rounds and then another one for the but they use different ingredients, so they won't be here anyway. So I would probably think that I could start my processor factory here. As long as all these bring their, when I get more, as long as they bring their cables down to here. Now, I want it to go up. There's a lot of other things are going to use that cable. So I'm going to go ahead and plan for 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will be the first one past it. One more. Okay. So that's where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. I can just go ahead and make them. It's not like it hurts anything. Nah. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the last one's right here. I want I'm going to go ahead and move this down 1. Okay. Just so I could do this. Not necessary, but something I could use later. If the red, I think it's the red ones. I don't have it. I can't look at the recipe. We'll see. I could use that later. Alright. Oh, no, I'm gonna use it now. That's what it was. I wanted the output conveyor to be separate. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so now we got those. What else do you need? Oh yeah, we actually need to make the thing we were making. So we got electronic circuit, we got gear wheels, and we got steel plates, or iron plates. I have tons of those. How am I doing? Let's see how this guy's doing. Looks like he's keeping going. The time window's filled up finally. One of the things I set it up to do is to use the 10-minute time window, because that's the one I tend to use on Factorio the most. And so you'll notice the timestamp here is no longer 0, it goes up, and so the whole thing shifts. The line series is still there though, so I could pull it back to 0. That means this thing slowly consumes more and more RAM. So I'll have to add that to remove it at some point. I'm curious actually, I'm going to pull up my task manager. And it looks like I'm up to 59 megabytes of RAM, which is a drop in the bucket compared to the 3,000 megabytes that Factorio is using. Okay, so now I need 3 inputs, and this is where conveyors aren't very friendly. You gotta have long-handed inserters if you want to use conveyors, and if you want the inputs to be on the same side, of course. And if you don't use the long-handed inserters and have the conveyor on one side, then if you have the inputs and outputs on the same side together, then you need filter inserters, which are more expensive. So I prefer to use the long-handed inserter. Alright, so let's see the best way I want to do this here. I think I'm going to have this go down and then over. No, because the reds are eventually going to have to go up here. Okay. So we're going to have iron plates and electronic circuits on the far. So those you need the most of. They're all the same. I'm gonna have the iron plates be on the long. Okay, so I didn't give myself enough room. Yeah, I did. No, not really. This double conveyor thing always bothers me. Give me a second. My mind will get unstuck at some point. Okay, I know I can do. Okay. Yay! Shotgun time. Okay. Put one of these guys here. Just to get. At some point, these are all just going to be conveyor of gears here, so yeah, but usually I have it go down. I may reorganize that later, no big deal. For now, I'm just going to do this thing. Okay, there's the gear wheels. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And since they're both on that belt already, I can just add the, excuse me, production of the conveyor belts here. All right, we are good. Go ahead and build the rest of it. Sweet. We are ready for greens production. Once we start actually producing them, though, well, actually, it's going to start producing them right away. just not going to consume them yet. We're going to see our usage spike quite a bit of everything. Let's sit and watch the production analyzer now. Looks like everything's tracking each other. Mostly because there's equal. Oh. I guess I could put the grains on the belt. Yep, so I think I'm going to stop streaming now. I just wanted to show you all the grapher I've made. I'm going to figure out soon how to package it up in a way for everybody to download as a mod. Would be probably pretty cool. I think a lot of people might use it, maybe not, I don't know. But I do need to increase its performance a little bit. One thing I noticed while it could be that I'm streaming and doing everything together, but the tabs seem to be like I just clicked it and then it takes so long before it switches. I don't like that. Now, I didn't notice that before I was streaming, so it could just be that. Yeah, see how long that took? That's way too long. Click. Way too long. Yeah. So, you know, there's a couple of things I'm going to work on. I'm going to get these new buttons working before I release it. But yeah, just let me know if you think it's something you'd be interested in, and as a mod, and I'll probably be more likely to rush finishing it if it's something people are interested in using. But thanks for watching.